Hello and welcome to the ICT Pulse podcast. I'm Michelle Marius, your host and the editor and publisher of ICT Pulse, the online platform where we discuss ICT issues from a Caribbean perspective. Following from our chat with Betty Fauster on ICT in Guadeloupe, we are introducing a new series called Know Your Neighbours, through which to learn more about our sister countries in the Caribbean region generally, and of course from an ICT perspective. Today our focus is on Suriname. Suriname is considered part of the Dutch Caribbean and is located in South America between Ghana and French Guiana. Although a former Dutch colony, Suriname is a full member of the Caribbean Community CARICOM and so enjoys the benefits of trade, foreign policy harmonization, technical policy development and coordination, to name a few. Our guests today are both based in Suriname and have numerous ICT-related achievements between them. Vincentius Kenswil and Anuskha Sonai are co-founders of Digital Talents Academy, a training institution that focuses on developing the technological and soft skills in today's professional. Vincent and Anuskha, welcome to the ICT Pulse podcast.
Hello, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay. So, Vincent and Anuskha, although Suriname is considered part of the Caribbean region and is a full member of CARICOM, we still don't know very much about it. So can you give us a quick overview of the country, the population size, economy, and so on?
Okay, thank you. Indeed, Suriname is a proud member of CARICOM and a little bit an outsider because our main language is Dutch. But we are very multilingual. We can speak English, we have Hindi, we have Japanese from Sanantongo. The country itself is about 14 times Jamaica in size. It's 163,000 square kilometer, but only about 500,000 people. Most of them are living in the capital Paramaribo, which is on the Suriname River in the north of the country. And a big part of Suriname is still pristine forest, jungle, Amazon, part of the Amazon. Our economy is driven by mining. For years it was bauxite, but now we mainly depending on gold and oil, and we have also agriculture, forestry, and fishery, and a little bit of how do you call that?
Tourism.
Yes, and now we are going a little bit in ecotourism.
Okay.
But that is now in development. So that's it in a nutshell.
Excellent. So I guess focusing on ICT and telecoms, which is our area, how developed is Suriname's ICT and telecommunication sector? And is there competition? How accessible are services? Can you just give us a sense as to what obtains?
Yes, of course. The ICT sector is in the development phase. We have an ICT association who is working on bringing public and private together and actually working on getting all the infrastructure that is needed to perform well in a digital transformative world. We also have two telecom companies, our local telecom company, which is the biggest telco in Suriname as well. That's Telesur. And we also have the Digicel Suriname here. And that's the competition between them. We used to have a third company, but that company went bankrupt, I think, and they got bought over by some other company. And we now have these two telcos in Suriname, and we are already almost finished with our fiber to the home project. So in the whole area where people are mainly living, I'm not saying the whole country, but from east to west, the whole country where people are living, that is where the fiber to the home project has been rolled out. We've invested a lot of money in that, which makes it easier to have access to a good internet connection. It's not what it's needed, because if you ask us as users, we
Right.
always complain about the connectivity. It's never enough, but I think with the fiber to the home perspectives and 4G rolled out completely, we have a good perspective of having a good infrastructure to create a good digital entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Understood. And how affordable are services?
What type of services?
Well, internet, let's start with that. So your broadband internet, your mobile broadband service, how affordable are those?
It's not it's very affordable, but because if you know that almost 70 no I'm 60% of the people are connected to the internet by smartphones. It's not everyone has it in their homes,
Mm-hmm.
but mobile data is quite affordable. But it can be better if we look at the quality that you're getting. So the price quality ratio can be
Mm-hmm.
better. And I think if you compare us to the other countries in the region, for instance, with Guyana and Trinidad, we have quite a good pricing structure for our internet connectivity.
Okay. All right, so I guess let's continue. So, switching gears, both of you are the founders of the Digital Talents Academy, and I know Anushka, you have a marketing company as well. But can you both give us a quick sense of your own entrepreneurial journey? How did you get to where you are now?
For me, it was a hobby because I study here at the university mainly architecture, and during my study, in the internet was introduced, and I learned myself developing websites, and so the company was rolled out. So in the beginning, it was just a hobby, and as an entrepreneur or as a hobbyist, you want to change things or you want to bring solutions, and it was on that perspective, things were developing, and in 2007, we partnered with a Dutch company and started our first company, Spamakandra, which focused on creating a development studio. So we offered 18 youngsters quite a very good training for 9 months, and from there things developed in what we are now, and that was how we started.
No, for me, it was more, I was studying electrical engineering and I thought it's enough of tech, but how do you make money with it and how do you enable companies to use the technology for better results and for people to get better results in it? And in my work career, I then met Vincent in 2009 and I joined his company, which was back then Spamakandra. I joined the company and I started off as an account manager, but like Vincent mentioned, there was a lot of development, and we were always in the lead of new technology and new trends that were emerging in the market. So we used this emerging market of digital media to actually build a business around it, which was now not only Suriname but also expanded to the region. That's why 21Q Caribbean is our company, which is the company where we build websites and do social media communications. We build mobile applications, like the complete internet marketing suite is offered through the company. But one of the biggest challenges that we had was human power, skilled human power. Like,
Mm-hmm.
current educational institutes are not educating people that they are work ready and that they have the knowledge and skills to work in a digital marketing company on an international level. So we
Right.
don't get like enough education in the 21st century skills. But my customers, who are mainly from the Caribbean and the Netherlands, and not the whole Caribbean, but yes, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, Curacao, and we have the Netherlands as a customer, and now also in the US, we have started with one customer over there. It's no longer that you can do it like, oh, this is a local flavor. No, you have to be able to work on an international level.
Absolutely.
That challenge for us was what Vincent said, that we did the educational education for 18 youngsters, and we repeated that kind of training, but mostly we were educating the people to come and work for us.
Right.
The challenge with that is that once they have learned the job, they get headhunted by bigger
Mm-hmm.
companies, because the bigger companies are not training the people themselves. They are just buying skilled human capital. So we said, instead of being a victim of the headhunting and the whole culture that is here, why not be the one who provides this skilled human force, this skilled human capital to these companies? That's how we started our academy, and we have just finished a course for 20 young people in the basic of ICT. They have learned how to manage a website, how to manage mobile apps, how to do social media communication and email marketing, and now they can offer their services as freelancers. They can offer it as a freelancer, or they can go and apply for a job. Because in the course, you also get the essential skills that make you work ready. So that is how our journey rolled out, from necessity into an opportunity, and now a complete business model. Because companies can also tell us, like, I need someone who can do this and this and this in my company. Can you, or I need personnel which is skilled in these five fields. Can you educate that person for me?
Understood. And I mean, that is just excellent that you found a need in the market and decided to develop it into a business. And I guess that points back to the whole spirit of entrepreneurship. And even as you said, Anushka, yes, you studied electrical engineering, but you wanted to figure out how to make money from it. So I guess the question that begs to be asked is, what is it like to be an entrepreneur in Suriname?
An entrepreneur in Suriname, it's like you're on a roller coaster. It's not one dull moment in your life. It's always fun, adventure, sometimes scary. Sometimes you don't know, will I make the next stop? Will I get there in the one whole piece? And sometimes it's so glorified that you think like, wow, I'm on top of the world. That's how it is.
But do you find, for example, in terms of there being support for entrepreneurs, if you wanted to start a business, is there like mentoring available, seed capital to start it, or can you give us a sense of the startup environment and the startup culture?
Michelle, I cannot express enough how happy I am with this question of yours, because no, the answer to all your questions is no. We don't think that the ecosystem in Suriname is, and I'm not saying just Suriname now, because I have traveled to some countries in the Caribbean, and I'm also part of the Canto organization, which is an ICT association in the Caribbean. So I meet people from all over the Caribbean all the time,
Yes.
and I know that they have the same challenges, and that's why we are so much investing our time and knowledge and skills in the Caribbean, because we can learn so much from all the other countries. Because we, as our own, we will not get there. But with the help of our partners and network in the other countries, together we can rise and we can get to the ideal situation, which is kind of ambitious. But what I want to say is that there is not enough mentoring and seed funding, like you mentioned. There is not enough of that in our company, and that's why we have created a model which we call the digital entrepreneurship ecosystem model.
Mm-hmm.
It is a replica of the traditional entrepreneurship ecosystem. What we have added is digital entrepreneurship in it. It's not just any entrepreneurship. And one of the drivers for us to come up with this model was that we were looking into how are the Caribbean people, including Suriname, because we think that we are part of the Caribbean, we feel part of the Caribbean. Um, how are we performing when we are in our own countries? We have all these boycotts and all these challenges and things, and it's not running, and then the same person goes to another country like in Europe or America or Canada or somewhere else, and you see that that person is performing so well that he gets all kinds of awards, he gets all kinds of recognition, and they make like millions. So why cannot that happen in our own country?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that all the countries, they are complaining about a brain drain. Everyone who is doing well or who has the brains to do something well leaves the country because there is not enough support in our own countries. So what we did is we did a survey and a research with people from our network from Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. So we did this whole exercise with them and survey to come up with the model, which gives us the 6 elements that are in an ecosystem, and it tells us what is it that is lacking in our countries and what is it that we need to work on to create a healthy ecosystem here in the Caribbean and to help the people who are staying and living in the Caribbean to excel, to do well, and to make Caribbean tech something that the rest of the world wants to invest in and wants to buy from us. And that's how we can diversify the economy of the Caribbean.
Absolutely. Yes, I'd be very interested in reading the outcomes of that study. So, Vincent, if someone from outside of Suriname wanted to do business in Suriname, what would be some of the key steps you'd recommend that they take?
So, we are Caribbean people. So, before we do business, we want to smell and feel each other. So, the first thing is, that you will need to build that relationship, uh,
Right.
find the right people, and come over. We are not like the Europeans who are can do business at a cold way and making a lot of agreements. You will need agreements, but the first step is come and feel and smell each other. That's the first recommendation. And that's why we from Suriname also now going into the Caribbean, we are investing our time and money to find entrepreneurs who we can work with together. And we want to invite the Caribbean also to come to Suriname and make sure that we know on how we can develop. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is that all over the Caribbean we have a strong diaspora in Europe. For us, it is the Netherlands mainly, but for other Caribbean sister countries, it is the UK, maybe Canada. I think that as entrepreneurs from the Caribbean, we need to collaborate together on how we can use that diaspora together to make an impact. Um, so I think that those are the two main things: knowledge and funding, and making those right connections in entrepreneurship. That's I think the basic things you need.
Anushka, you have anything to add to that?
I would say, yeah, the network is important,
Mm-hmm.
but also knowing which institutions to go to
Right.
and accepting that things take time. So you need to have patience here. I think Vincent has numbers in where we rank with the doing business. There's an index, right? Doing business in Suriname.
Right.
He has the numbers. I don't know that by heart. So do you know have that?
No, yeah, this was the index from the ITU, from the index for ICT.
Oh, for ICT. Okay.
Yeah.
No, for doing business, there's also an index. I don't know the number now by heart, but you have to know that things take time in our country. So you need to be very patient. And when you need to get things done, don't be too arrogant, but just be open. And then you will see. And Vincent says it in a very humorous way. He says, all the people in Suriname, we have a 10-second threshold. So you have to get to know me for longer than 10 seconds. And after that, I will start smiling to you and being more kind to you. So, yes.
Okay.
It might look as if we are not happy
Yeah.
or not smiling, but in fact, we are very soft-hearted and open people, and we're very open for guests and tourists. So yeah, just embrace that.
All right then. Good to know. I just also have a question with respect to Anushka. I noted that you seem to have been part of the event organizing team for the ICT summit that had been held in Paramaribo over the last few years. I wanted to know why was it started and what might have been some of the outcomes from that experience.
Okay, so first of all, the IT companies in Suriname felt underrepresented in the regular trade and industry association. So that's why they started the ICT association. And at a certain point, Vincent joined the board. He became the secretary. And one of our goals was to make the people in Suriname aware that you can use ICT to perform better, ontwikkel, that's a Dutch word. I want to say it in English. That's to develop a country with
Right.
ICT. There are many perspectives and many options for that, but first of all, people need to be aware of that. And there was no good public-private partnership on this topic. So they assigned a commission, and I was the director of the ICT Summit back then. So they assigned the commission with one purpose, and that is to create and raise awareness in Suriname amongst companies, students, and government, how we can use ICT in a way to develop the country, to diversify our economy. And I must say, we started off at a very 0 point almost. It was very new to people, and it was the first time that there was an event of that class. And how do you say it? Level in our country, because in the third one, I know that companies from 3 countries participated, no, 8 countries participated in it. And one of our biggest challenges to bring government closer to business, that was one of the wins we got out of it, that government was now closer to business. We all knew what was happening, and students were now more and more choosing the ICT field and with more awareness, and not just saying, oh, I need to do something in ICT, so I will do any ICT um, education. No, they knew now with the purpose how to choose their ICT career. And we have come a long way, but I must say we are not there yet. There is a lot yet to learn. But what we have seen that many other small initiatives have started. For instance, in a few months, Suriname will have her own makerspace institute. We have the academy here. We have like many things that are spin-offs of raising awareness amongst stakeholders are now coming in place.
Understood. And that's great. But I gather though that the summit is no longer happening.
No, after 3 years of doing this summit, we decided that it was enough in awareness. So everyone was now aware. We knew that ICT was one of the things we need to focus on. I think Vincent even used a metaphor for it, and he said, if gold and oil and agriculture are the 3 legs of a table, the fourth leg is ICT.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it as a table, you will see that ICT is the fourth leg with which you can develop the economy. So that was already, but we didn't know like where are we going. So we invested in creating the ICT Vision 2020. The ICT Association presented that to the government as well, and it's known. I can send you the ICT Vision 2020 of Suriname also.
Okay.
And one of the other things was, so we had the vision now in the fourth year, and in the fifth year we said, instead, we know where we want to go, but how are we getting there? So we did the ICT week, and in the ICT week, with people from different sectors and different, like from the university, from business, from government, and from ICT companies, we did a roadmap. We created a roadmap in how are we going to how are we going to achieve the vision which we have for 2020, and what are the necessary steps that we need to take. So the ICT Summit, as we know it, has evolved into something with more depth and more results and more action-oriented programs. And the new board of the ICT Association is doing a summit this year, which is a two-day event. And they have two main topics. One is the human factor, which I have been speaking about in this um, uh, show a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is
Fintech.
fintech, like financial technology. What can we do with that?
Okay, excellent. And do you have any sort of dates as yet for that summit?
Yes, it's next week, 26th of June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in October, we want to do the Creative Week. It's either October or November. That is when our academy will do the Creative Week, where we bring in trainers from abroad, but also local trainers, and we will focus on animation, game development, and actually economic development and future foresight, strategic foresight. Sorry.
Oh, okay, great. And I guess noting that at least with the summit next week, one is looking at the human factor and fintech. I wanted to know whether or not you are seeing any other trends, ICT tech related trends, business related tech trends in Suriname or even in the wider Dutch Caribbean or in the wider Suriname business community.
Well, like in the other countries, AI, artificial intelligence, and robotics and Internet of Things are three of the things that are growing because whether or not you choose it consciously or unconsciously, we are surrounded by AI in everything that we do. Even if we just have to navigate to our next location, you use Google Maps, and that uses artificial intelligence. So you see that that's a minor thing, but in more aspects, you will see that artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, and also robotics are getting more traction. People are also looking more into digital media and in gaming. And one of the newest trends that is happening is that gaming, as we know it, is becoming an official. It's not official, but it's started to go in the direction of a new sport, the e-sport business. So
Okay.
that's one of the things that is with technology. It's really emerging, and there is a good opportunity there.
Oh, wonderful. I hadn't necessarily heard about the gaming, but I'm not surprised either. So, we're going to begin to wind things down. And I wanted to know what do you believe are the strengths of the ICT tech space in Suriname?
I think that one of the strengths is that we don't have very much yet in Suriname. So there is a lot of open space to fill in. And it is not a strength, it's more an opportunity. But because there are, it is an open space, things can be built up from the start. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot to develop, and because we also have a very young population who is willing to learn. In the whole Caribbean, we have very bright people and youngsters who want to learn, and that is also a strength because the youngsters can adapt those the new things that are happening in this fourth revolution, industrial revolution in the world. They will embrace it easier than the older generation, and I see that as a strength. And if we as business leaders with some experience and some network can enable those youngsters with the right tools, the right essential skills, but also the right funding. So I think that the diaspora that I already mentioned is some great opportunity for us in the Caribbean to check, to embrace them in that development. Um, then the future that is already bright for us can be much brighter. And in the Caribbean and in Suriname, we want to focus mainly on politicians, but we have to, we, as entrepreneurs, we have to come together and work on the enabling of those youngsters. You know what I mean? So for us, I think that is one of the main focus areas.
Okay.
I think one of the strengths for us is also that big international companies are already represented here and or they have an interest here, like Huawei, Google, Microsoft, Dell. These companies are already linking up, or they already have the representatives here, and they are already looking into how can we do more with the digital transformation. And also that IT or technology is now widely recognized as the next thing to do, or the thing to do if you want to secure your future for companies, but also for individuals, like Vincent said, for students. So I think with everyone so open to ICT, I think that is a very big strength for us.
Excellent. And it's good that you mentioned it, because I just, while Vincent was talking, it came to me that I probably should ask about how easy it is for foreigners to set up businesses in Suriname, because it is sometimes it can be quite a challenge if an international company or a company that had operations outside of, let's say, Suriname, for example, to set up an operation. There might be very stringent requirements, or somehow the policies are not as welcoming. But I gather from what you're saying, Anushka, that at least that should not necessarily be too much of a problem in Suriname.
That's right, because if you have a local partner, you can do a lot because the local partner can do all the tax and regulation, and all the, like, say, paperwork, and the company can easily come here and start their business with the local partner.
Okay, understood.
One thing, starting a new company in Suriname, you can like start a new company actually within 1 or 2 days if you have uh, a good follow system, and if you do the steps, you can have a new company in 1 to 2 days. So that's very easy if you're a local.
Excellent. Okay, and I guess probably what I think might be my final question now. What are some of the challenges Suriname might need to address to improve at the ICT environment there?
I think
I think education.
Mm-hmm.
We know that our system is old and is not providing the right things, but um, we still have the image that education has to come from government, and that is something that now is changing. That education can also come from private sector, and we want to make ourselves very strong, not only in Suriname but also in the Caribbean, to emphasize on that part and work together on how we can create things like we have here, the Digital Talents Academy incubators, how we can invest as entrepreneurs into those platforms, connect them together, make a system that is cross over the Caribbean, and then I think that we can not force, but get our governments on our side, that when there is investment from international banks, for example, the IDB, we can put that money together to make one system where we can also learn our youngsters on what we in the Caribbean have to offer, because we mainly go to Europe to study because we think that there is all the gold and all the better things. But I'm looking at an example on track and field, for example, where 25 years ago we had in track and fields at the short numbers only USA, Great Britain, and those European countries were number 1, 2, 3, and you see that they were Caribbean-like blood. But now we see that it is Jamaica, Trinidad, who is on the number 1, 2, 3, because we have those talents in our region. So we can do the same with business and with ICT. Our great example is track and field, and if we can copy that ambition, that system, that strategy, we can do that. And with education from the private sector, and with support from our governments, that is one thing. I think that we have to address very how do you call it? Yeah, put it number one for our Caribbean development.
Okay. Anushka, any thoughts?
Yes, another challenge, like, okay, education important because if tomorrow a big company comes in and they said, oh, we have 50 people needed to work on this and this, we don't have the people yet because we still need to educate them. So yes, I agree totally with Vincent that, and that's why we have our academy and we are training these people. But also funding. You have many people, it's not just young people, who have a great idea, but they don't have the funding that you need to start, your seed funding, to develop your product as a prototype or your go-to-market strategy, etc. So we need funding for these people. We also need a better support system with legal and finance and investment bankers and all that. And one of the greatest things is that there needs to be a culture. We need to develop the culture of doing things with technology in a way that it brings a social status for an entrepreneur. Now, if someone is doing something in tech and that has developed from a very far away, where they were first thinking, oh, he is crazy, now they're saying, oh, wow, he's doing something very good, so nice, so good. And then they will pamper him, but not give him the funding and the support and business coaching that he or she needs.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that we need to look into. And also distribution channels, for what Vincent just said, that we're so oriented towards Europe and USA that we don't use our Caribbean pipeline to distribute our own products. For instance, there is this guy who has made an application for education, and he is in Guyana, and he's looking into how will he get people from New York and England to invest in it and to use it. But for the same time, if we had a culture that we were embracing our own things, then people from Suriname, Trinidad, Jamaica will use the app from Guyana as well and support this Caribbean entrepreneur. So those are shifts, mind shifts in our thinking that needs to come. And those are challenges we have to address if we want to develop ICT tech space for the Caribbean and for Suriname.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think I just want to say thank you so much. It took us a little while to get the appointment firmed up because I know you all were traveling quite a bit over the last several weeks. But thank you again for just joining me here and for us to discuss Suriname and hopefully to help our Caribbean neighbors to learn more about each other.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity, and go on with the good work you are doing for years now.
Thank you also from my side, and I hope that our talk brings more people to more ideas in how we can develop this Caribbean entrepreneurship ecosystem, and that we can work together and help the Caribbean diversify her economy. So thank you so much, Michelle, for doing a great job in bringing out the messages.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the ICT Pulse podcast. You can find links to some of the things we talked about on our website, ict-pulse.com. If you like this episode, please show your support by leaving us a review on iTunes, as it will help others find the show. You can email us at info@ict-pulse.com or drop us a note on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ICTPulse, or via Twitter @ICTPulse. We hope you'll join us again for our next episode. Take care.